Hopefully I'm in focus. I can't actually see the viewfinder. Hi, hello, good afternoon, everybody. It's been a hot minute since I posted anything, and that's because I've been in a huge creative funk due to quarantine. There's no conventions, and so there's no reason for me to make cosplay, and also I'm moving, so all my cosplay stuff is boxed up. And so I decided what would be a better time than now to put a bald cap on. I don't know if you've ever tried to talk just to a camera by yourself in a room. It's really awkward. I dare you to pause this video and go try it. It's very awkward. And so what I'm gonna be doing is attempting to put on a bald cap while also telling my cosplay story and my cosplay journey. And if you came here for a bald cap tutorial, that's not what this is. Sorry. Hi, nice to meet you, bye. So it all started back in the year 2015. I was just a very shy little high school student who was really awkward and just didn't really know how to make friends or to talk to people. I didn't know it at the time, but I have very bad social anxiety, and I was very quiet for most of my high school career. I'm that kid where the teacher would say, "Oh, you're partners with that girl over there," and the kid would be like, "What? Who is that?" And I'm like, "I've been in your class for literally 3 years and you don't know I exist." My friend asked me to go to anime club with him, and I was like, "I don't want to go to anime club with you." And he's like, "Why not? It could be so much fun." And I'm like, "I'm trying not to get bullied, so I don't want to go to anime club." He's like, "Come on, it'll be fun." And so I said, "Fine, I'll go to anime club." And as you can imagine, little old high school me in 2015 was the most awkward person in the whole room. But I went, and I had an enjoyable time in anime club. It was actually at our school called Jam Club, Japanese Anime Manga Club, I believe is the original term for it. I think it was changed since then, but when I went there, that's what I knew it as. I met a couple of people there. I didn't really talk to a whole lot of people, because, you know, again, awkward little old me. But I did meet someone there who became a very big part of my life. And that would be my cosplay mom, who was the advisor for the club. And I'm not going to mention her name because I didn't actually get like permission to say her name, so I'm just gonna refer to her as Sensei in this video. And Sensei was probably one of the most encouraging people I had ever met in my life, and still is one of the most encouraging people I have ever met in my life. And so when she said that Jam Club was going to have a cosplay day and that anyone could join no matter your skill level, I was like, sure, I'll give it a go. And at this point, I had always really been into like anime and cartoons. I had ever since I was a little kid. I see cosplayers and I had appreciated them, but I had never actually tried cosplay before. I wanted to cosplay Hero. I used my jacket from my closet and my pants from my closet. I used a shirt from a thrift store that I painted and a Spirit Halloween wig because it was around Halloween time. And I went to that cosplay day and I looked like this. I'll try and see if I can find a picture to insert around here somewhere. And I would just kind of shyly got dressed after school, and I entered the room and everyone loved it, and I wasn't really used to that kind of attention before. So it was kind of my first ever cosplay and my first step towards becoming a cosplayer. And from there I only wanted to do more cosplay. Like A cool thing about that club is that they inform you about local events happening around. But one of the events that was happening around my area was CoronecoCon, which is a convention that's probably the largest in my area to date. And so I asked my best friend, who is also a major nerd and got into a lot of these shows with me, if she wanted to go to this convention, and she immediately said, without a doubt, absolutely. And then I asked her, I was like, would you be interested in cosplaying with me to the convention? And again, her answer was, without a doubt, absolutely. And so we decided the very first thing that we were going to do is we were going to do a steampunk cosplay, because I was getting very into that genre at the time. But CoronecoCon is 2 days long. And I was like, what am I going to do for the first day of the costume? Because we were planning on doing steampunk for the second day. And at the time, I was obsessed with the show Star vs. the Forces of Evil. It had been out for only about a month. It was not a very old show at the time. And I decided that I wanted to cosplay Star. However, I had no sewing skills and no idea where to even start. And let me tell you something. My Star Butterfly cosplay was not good. It was a dress that I got from a store. It wasn't even a thrift store. It was just a random dress that I found at the store that was the same color as Star's. And so I was like, yeah, that'll do. I used my natural hair, which at the time I had long blonde hair, straight across bangs. I used my natural hair for it. I didn't know how to do makeup. I had never even worn mascara. Like, that's how much I had never done makeup before. So, God bless my best friend's heart, she did my makeup for me. My little devil horns, that was made out of a dollar store headband and some Walmart craft foam. I'm pretty sure my purse was made after that same craft foam. And a strap I used from one of my old purses I had when I was a kid. The stockings were from Halloween. They did not fit me. They were 3 sizes too small on. The one thing though that I did make out of that costume was the boot covers. And I didn't have a sewing machine or any sewing skills, but my grandma did. And so I forced my poor grandmother to help me make these boot covers from a YouTube tutorial. So we walk into this anime convention. We stand in line for 3 hours to get our pre-bought badge, by the way. The line for non-pre-bought badges was moving faster than our line. And we were, being geeks at our first time convention. I'm sure you can relate, seeing all these cosplayers and just freaking out at how wonderful they all are. And at the same time, people are freaking out about my costume. They're stopping me and they're like, oh my god, you're Star Butterfly, can I get a picture with you? And they're saying how much they love my costume. And mind you, hopefully I can find a picture of it and you saw what my costume looked like. It's nothing spectacular, but people loved it and adored it, and I was getting so much attention for it, and I just never thought that I would be able to be like that, like coming from this shy girl who's afraid to raise her hand in class to someone who's getting stopped every 2 seconds for a picture. I absolutely craved that. It was just a nice feeling to be recognized for something once. And I think that's why I stuck with the hobby, is because I liked that recognition and the attention that I was getting. And so I was under the impression that CoronecoCon was the only con in our area, and so as soon as CoronecoCon ended, of course, me and my best friend are already planning our costumes for next year. And then we come to find out, hold on, there are actually other conventions here. And so we found out about Spokane. Now, we don't go to Spokane anymore, but when we first went, we had a really good time. And it wasn't technically called SpoCon, it was called A Weekend with Vic Mignogna, because the voice actor Vic Mignogna was like the big guest, and that was their big shtick, was that he was going to be there and the whole weekend was going to be about him. And so we decided to go and, you know, check it out, have a look around. And I decided it would be a good idea to go as Bill Cipher. Now, Bill Cipher has come to be one of my favorite characters to cosplay. I love Gravity Falls, I love the character, but my first cosplay of him, I used my natural hair. Again, I didn't do my own makeup. I don't even think I did makeup for that costume. I think I just went without it. I used a bright yellow tailcoat that my grandmother had from God knows when, but she saved it, so I used it. I forced my mom to tie my hair back in a bun so it looked like I would have shorter hair. And I made an eye patch. This eye patch is probably the worst thing I had ever made in my life. It was craft foam from Walmart, again, that I cut into the shape of a triangle. And I used pieces of yellow yarn, trying to make, like, you know, a Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul kind of mask, but it was just not up to par. And I don't have a lot of pictures of that outfit because of it, but if I can, I'll put it in this video to just show you what I mean. Then we move on to my next year of cosplaying, which was 2016. We went to our first sci-fi convention. It was called MeesCon. Again, we dressed up in steampunk. I had also dressed up as a casual Prince Gumball from the show Adventure Time. And that was my first ever experience with body paint, which was very funny considering I didn't even know how to apply eyeliner. And so basically, I looked like a big pink wad of gum, which I guess depending on how you look at it was how I was supposed to look like. I didn't style the wig. I thrifted all of the clothes, which is fine. Thrifting for cosplay is probably one of my favorite ways to cosplay. But I had thrifted everything. I made the little crown out of more Walmart craft foam and pinned it to my head with bobby pins. The best part of all of that is that I didn't know what arm socks were. I don't even think arm socks existed in 2016. And so I painted my arms pink, and I didn't seal them. But when you don't seal your body paint, it gets on literally everything. And so I was rubbing paint off all day on everything and everyone, and I'm sure the convention was very annoyed with me. And then came Lilac City Comic Con, which was my first time going to Lilac City Comic Con was in 2016. At that time it was only one day. It's 2 days now, but at that time it was only one day. And I cosplayed as a character from a YouTube short that I really liked at the time called Welcome to Hell. I had sewed the hat and a circle skirt all by myself without needing anyone's help. And that was a huge accomplishment for me. I had also inherited my very first sewing machine at this time. It used to belong to one of my great-grandmothers, I'm pretty sure. And then it was passed down to me. It was a Sears Kenmore from the 70s. It could only do like 1 or 2 different stitches, and it could backstitch, and that was about the limits for that sewing machine. It was also at this point during the school year where I was getting after-school sewing lessons from Sensei, which I greatly appreciated, and she taught me a lot of what I know today because of that. And I feel so bad for her because I remember coming up to her and saying, "Sensei, can you help me sew this dress?" And she's like, "Sure, where's the pattern?" And I'm like, I don't know how to use a pattern, so I don't want to make one. And she's like, oh. But she's a trooper. She stuck with me and she helped me out. And so my first full dress that I ever made was that Star Butterfly dress. And I had made a lot of improvements to the costume by now. Yes, this was the first time I wore a wig for Star. And it was another Spirit Halloween wig. I think it was the Alice in Wonderland one. It looks completely awful, but I tried. I also made a new wand and got new tights, it looks like. Fun fact, those tights are the same ones I used up until I retired the costume, and they did not fit me. They were meant for children, but I shoved them up my legs every single time and I somehow managed to make them fit every single time. I also cosplayed Marinette from Miraculous Ladybug this year, and Marinette was the first cosplay I got that had a wig that was over $15 and was also the first wig I ever styled by myself. Let me tell you, I butchered that wig. That wig is dead and gone. However, because I got a little taste of what nicer wigs were like, I can tell you, I never went back to using Spirit Halloween wigs. I also accidentally won my first cosplay contest ever as Marinette. I didn't know that it was even a cosplay contest going on, but I went to a Studio Ghibli movie showing hosted by KuronekoCon, and they were just like, come and cosplay so we know it's you, and I'm like, okay, so I did. And they liked my costume so much that they gave me the winning title and a free ticket to the following year's KuronekoCon. So that was kind of cool. That's how I accidentally won my first ever cosplay contest. And I had also decided to this point that my best friend can't do my makeup forever and I should probably get my makeup skills at some point. And so I just bought some drugstore makeup and I would practice just doing really fun makeup looks from time to time, and I would start doing my own cosplay makeup as well. Just basics. And the more you practice, the more you're gonna get better at it. That's all I can say about that. And now we get to 2017. Ah yes, so 2017 was my senior year of high school. And at this point, I had been president of Jam Club for 2 years. And I had also gotten into a lot of video editing as well. And I would film these CMVs for the club. Now, they weren't professional by any means. However, when we all did it, we all had a lot of fun. And it kind of became a tradition for the club for quite a few years. Even after I graduated, I came back and I kept making videos for them for the new kids who would come in. And I would still be making friends. And now, being president of a club for a long time was not something I ever expected that I could do, especially because just a few years earlier I was that person who was afraid to even raise her hand in class. But here, I was just able to do that, and my confidence had grown so much. And I don't think I would have ever been able to do that if I didn't participate in that very first cosplay contest and was so encouraged by my peers. 2017 was also the year that I made my first bodysuit, still using that Sears Kenmore, so not using a machine that was meant for stretch fabric at all. And I cosplayed Danny Phantom. Danny Phantom was also my first wig that I fully styled from head to toe. And it was a sight for sore eyes. However, I was a pretty popular person at that convention. I think some of my favorite memories have to do with people just going behind my back and singing the theme song to Danny Phantom all day. And that was also when I updated my Bill Cipher costume. I had thrifted it a lot more, so I found this bright yellow, what was it? It was like a vest, and I got a top hat, an actual one, and I got a wig as well. This was the year that I did the cosplay that shall not be named. So I had this idea that I was gonna make this awesome human Peridot costume. And the idea in my head was great. The execution was not so great. I'll give it to myself, I was doing better at makeup, but I hated this costume with a passion. I literally walked around for half the day and hated it so much I wanted to switch into a different costume. That's how much I hated it. I made sure I deleted all of my pictures of it except for one, which I'm going to put in here and show you. I don't have it anywhere on my social media. I've made sure none of my friends have it. Hopefully they don't. Anyway. And so as a cosplayer, even no matter how experienced you are, if you've only been doing it for 1 year, for 5 years, for 25 years, you can still do a costume and you can completely hate it, and that's fine because you'll learn from your mistakes and you'll grow. 2017 was also the year that I went to my first Ren Fair, and I adored it. It was a different style of convention, really, when you think about it, with actors and period dressings and different kind of vendors, and I loved the experience. It also showed that I was just getting a lot better at makeup, and you'll see in the pictures that I can hopefully find. Still not the best, but it was certainly an improvement from what I had done in the past. And finally, we got to Star Butterfly 3.0, the best improvement I had ever done on my Star Butterfly costume. I had watched a few YouTube videos about how to read patterns, and I finally used a pattern for it. And this is my favorite version of Star Butterfly that I believed that I could do. I wore her first to CordaCon, which is a super local, super small convention at my town. And I feel like my Star Butterfly is the prime example of the more you practice, the more you will improve your cosplays, especially if cosplaying is a hobby that you really, really want to stick with, as I have. And then we get to 2018, which is the year where things really started changing for me cosplay-wise. That was the year of the ball gown. I designed my Tafiti costume. I worked for 8 long months to bring it to light, and I did, and I debuted her at Lilac City 2018, and the response I got from wearing that costume was unlike any I had ever gotten before. It was crazy. It was the first time since Prince Gumball that I attempted body paint again, and I had learned about contouring a little bit by this point and how important it was when you're doing body paint characters, so that helped out a lot. The ball gown is not to toot my own horn or anything, but it was pretty impressive considering what I had done in the past. And usually when I had went to a convention, like, people would want some pictures, you know, it's fine, that's whatever. But when I say that I couldn't get 3 feet without someone wanting a picture, I mean I couldn't go 3 feet without someone wanting a picture. It was absolutely crazy. I entered the cosplay contest and I won Judge's Choice, and that's the first time I ever placed in a bigger costume contest at a convention before. I did Star Butterfly, I think, twice in 2018 for KuroNekoCon and for Lilac City. And KuroNekoCon was the last time that I wore Star Butterfly. It was also the first time that we had like a really big group of cosplayers. Like, we had had small groups of cosplays before, but when we actually got some friends together to do a group, it was just the first time we had ever done something like that, and it was a good experience. I love doing group cosplays. But then I decided to retire Star Butterfly, and Star was the first cosplay who I ever officially retired without the intent of doing her again. And it was kind of a hard decision because she was my first cosplay and I felt so attached to her. But at the same time, I also felt like there was nothing I could really do to improve upon her. And so therefore it was just time for her retirement. I had also upgraded Bill's cipher, and this year is the reason why Bill is my favorite cosplay to do. Because once you get the character to a point where it's recognizable, it's just so much fun when people know who you are and you start interacting with their characters being in character. It's just so much fun. And I think that's why Bill is my favorite, is because a lot of people, especially those who cosplay from Gravity Falls, react to you since you're the villain. I think that's probably my favorite part about cosplaying Bill and why I like him so much. Unfortunately, this was one of the first years I experienced terrible photographers and people taking my picture without consent. This happened very specifically at Lake City Comic Con, which is run by Lilac City Comic Con, and I was cosplaying Bill Cipher, and I was off to do a private photo shoot with my friend, and this old man started to follow us. And us, being two teenage girls, were really creeped out about this man who just decided to follow us. So we tried to go off a little bit further so that he couldn't see us. It didn't work. And he took out a camera and he started trying to take my picture. And I'm not a very confrontational person, so I turned away, just kind of awkwardly, until he stopped. But he still took pictures of me even when I was turned away. And then this man had the audacity to post them to Facebook and tag the convention in it, so that the convention took his photos and posted it on that page with the picture that was clearly not me posing for him. What I ended up doing was reaching out to the convention and say like, hey, this is what happened, this man is really creepy, I don't think that you should put your pictures on his page because here's what he did. And the convention thanked me for reaching out to them about it, and they took it down immediately. They were very nice about it, but they told me that in the future I should just go to them directly while it's happening at the event instead of waiting for this so long, so that they can stop it while it's happening. Which is like, fair point, you know, fair game. I probably should have done that. That would have been the right thing to do. But that was also the first time that anything like that had happened to me before, so how was I supposed to know that? I've just kind of gone off on a tangent now. This man makes me so mad. It was probably my worst cosplay experience yet. But it also started a realization that one of my biggest pet peeve at conventions is cosplay is not consent. So much so that I even started doing panels about convention etiquette. I think the best thing that has come out of cosplay for me, though, is making friends and meeting all the people that I know now. And also cosplaying with my best friend, because my best friend and I have been friends for over 10 years. And we've been cosplaying together since the beginning, so it's a really fun hobby that both of us can enjoy. And I've also made so many friends along the way, which is great considering that back in high school I was afraid to even raise my hand to answer a question, and I never thought I'd be able to get on stage in front of who knows how many people to show off a costume that I was proud of. Like, that was an amazing milestone for me, and I still can't believe that I can get on stage and do that. I even met my partner through cosplay as well. And we've been together for 2 years now. And like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, we're moving soon into our first apartment together. And yes, we got a 2-bedroom apartment just so we can have an entire room for cosplay. And now we move on to last year, 2019. The first costume I did last year was Doc Ock from the Into the Spider-Verse movie. And I was coming off of my really big year that I had with Bill Cipher and Tafiti, and when I first showcased Doc Ock, no one knew who she was, or no one knew who I was cosplaying. I didn't get any photos with anybody. No one said that they liked my costume. No one knew who I was. And that was very, very disheartening, and that was the first time that that had happened to me since I did my human Peridot costume. It's not obviously anyone's fault for not knowing who I was. Maybe it's not even that they didn't know who I was. Maybe it's just that she wasn't as popular as the Spider-Men that were walking around the convention, which is totally valid. It was just a little disheartening for me personally. The second day, though, we had a pretty big group of evolutions, and that was really fun. We were the talk of the convention that day. I had also done a pretty big makeup hurdle last year, too. I cosplayed Hades from Lore Olympus, and the costume itself for Hades is not that hard. It's just a suit, but Hades is blue, head to toe blue. So I taught myself how to do male makeup in body paint. And honestly, it turned out better than I could ever hope for. It was kind of cool that I got to meet my idol through our similar cosplay that we wore. It's Uptown Cosplay, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. I also cosplayed from the Adventure Zone. I was Taco, and I did 2 different versions of Taco, actually. The first one was a test that I did for him. I wore him to the Ren Fair, and that was just another costume that I felt incredibly disappointed in because I didn't like the hair, I didn't like the makeup. I made this huge hat for him which kept falling off. It didn't fit my head at all. And so I wasn't having a very good time that day because the costume just wasn't up to par. I thought it was going to be yet another Peridot level of failing. But thankfully I was able to fix it up, change my wig, change the makeup, and fix the hat and a couple little additions to his body before I took it to KomoriCon, which was, I think, the best version I could have done of that costume. And that kind of transitions me into the last convention that I went to, which was KomoriCon last year. And that was the biggest convention that I had ever gone to. It was in Portland. It's about a 5-hour drive from where I currently live. I had entered Tafiti 2.0 into the costume contest, which was incredibly overwhelming because it was the biggest cosplay contest I had ever competed in. And let me tell you, the levels of anxiety that I was feeling before I went onto that stage was, oh my god, it was so bad. I felt like I was going to vomit behind stage. But like all the other times, I just got on stage and those nerves went away and I just performed my little heart out. I didn't end up winning, which was a mild disappointment because I had put so much work into upgrading Tafiti from when I first debuted her to that convention. But that's alright. That just means that I'll have to keep adding to her and work harder so that I can do the next costume contest. 2019 was also a pretty big year for me because I got to do so many things that I had always wanted to do but never really got the chance to. Like, I was a guest judge at a convention. I guest judged the walk-on cosplay contest at KuronEcoCon, which was really funny actually because Sensei was in that cosplay contest. And so I got to judge her, which I thought is kind of funny. I also started doing panels, which is not something I ever thought that I would be interested in, but I had decided that I would use my experience to hopefully help others with starting out in their cosplays. So my first one is So You Want to Cosplay: The Beginner's Guide to New Cosplayers, which I felt was very successful for this year. And then at KumariCon, I did another one called Convention Etiquette 101. And so that brings us up to speed on today. So here's the statement that I'm going to end on. Why do I cosplay? I cosplay for a couple different reasons. One, I cosplay to challenge myself, both in my skills and socially. I have come to terms with the fact that I have very bad social anxiety, and I'm working on it. And one of the things that helps me is cosplaying. The second reason why I cosplay is to inspire others. Going back to that very first Jam Club cosplay contest and thinking about all those people that I met and all those connections I made and all the encouragement I got, and coming back and talking to the new students and showing them my story and showing them my cosplays and getting to know them has just been really, really rewarding. And I want to keep doing that. I want to inspire others to show you that even though I was this terribly nerdy, shy kid in high school who couldn't even raise her hand to answer a question even though she knew it was right, that I can be this person who can go on stage dressed in bright green in a ball gown so big you can't even fit inside a toilet stall. That is my cosplay story. This is the bald cap complete, which I think I did a pretty good job for this being the first time with me in a bald cap. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was just kind of for me so that I could get out of my creative rut that I've been in and spend a Friday night as a 21-year-old in my basement putting on a bald cap. I hope you guys have a wonderful morning, evening, or night, whatever time you are watching this, and I will hopefully see you all in another one. Goodbye.